Welcome to Zodiac Talks Tarot, Sagittarius Edition. Well, hey there, my fellow stargazers, whether you're a long-time Sagittarius soul who's been galloping with me through this cosmic terrain, or you're a newly awakened fire sign who just stumbled in thanks to a divine algorithmic glitch at 3am, welcome home. This is Zodiac Talks Tarot, and if you're a Sag, trust me, you didn't land here by accident. Let's cut to the celestial chase. You, dear Sagittarius, were never built for average. Mediocrity? Please. That word isn't even in your cosmic vocabulary. You were born with a quiver full of purpose and a soul that refuses to sit still. But here's the sacred tea: God doesn't reveal destiny to the distracted. And lately, if life's been throwing you rejections, detours, and delays like darts at your dream board, don't freak out. That wasn't a spiritual slap, it was divine training. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. This isn't just another good vibes only reading. No. This is your wake-up call. Because let's be honest, when a Sagittarius gets spiritually activated, paradigms shift. Systems shake. You're not just another zodiac sign, you're the philosopher-warrior, the freedom seeker, the truth teller who was born not just to wander, but to lead a movement. And here's the kicker: you're not just here to break the mold. You're here to burn the whole karmic script and write a new one. Generational prayers? You're the answer. The pattern breaker. The legacy builder. Heck, if rebellion were a love language, you'd already be fluent. So grab your metaphorical bow, Sagittarius. The universe has a bullseye with your name on it, and in the year of triumph 2025, your aim has never been sharper. Now let's dive in. Let's talk about something most people misunderstand: going higher. For Sagittarius, the phrase might sound like it involves boarding a last-minute flight to Bali or suddenly gaining 1 million followers for that one fire tweet. But no, the real elevation I'm talking about doesn't show up in notifications or a blue check mark. It happens much quieter, deeper, and honestly more painfully. True elevation is spiritual. And let me say this with all the love in my Saturnian bones: you cannot rise without surrender. That means letting go of control. Yes, even you, Sagittarius, the Zodiac's freedom fighter, the wild archer who'd rather run barefoot into the forest than sit through a meditation class. Elevation begins the moment you stop forcing life to bend to your plans and start listening for that still, small whisper of the divine. What gets in the way? The ego. That clever, persistent voice that says, "I've got this," while secretly panicking under pressure. But destiny doesn't respond to bravado, it responds to humility. And trust me, I've seen this in my years of studying charts and counseling souls. When Sagittarius finally surrenders the need to figure it all out, that's when magic begins to unfold. Remember David? Joseph? Total underdogs. Dreamers, misunderstood, tossed into pits and prisons, and yet, they were destined for royalty. And don't act like you haven't felt like that lately. When life starts unraveling, it's easy to think something's wrong. But from a divine perspective, it's just the universe doing deep remodeling. Because here's the truth: God doesn't promote someone until he knows their roots are strong. He'll shake the tree before he lets it bear fruit. So if things are falling apart, Sagittarius, maybe it's not punishment. Maybe it's preparation. You weren't made to stay grounded. But to soar, you've got to let go first. And I know letting go isn't exactly your spiritual hobby, but hey, no one said higher was supposed to feel comfortable. Let's be honest for a second: Sagittarius divine elevation is not some glittery Instagram glow up or a one-way ticket to a higher vibe paradise. No, real spiritual elevation, the kind that actually changes your life and not just your bio, comes with a price tag. And not the kind you can Venmo. It's soul-level investment. What I call the wild package deal. And guess what? You don't get to pick and choose from the menu. It's all or nothing. First up, detachment from the familiar. Now I know this one sounds easy for a Sagittarius. After all, your suitcase is practically always half-packed and your passport's probably more worn than your driver's license. But this isn't about switching zip codes or ghosting your job on a full moon. This is inner detachment. Emotional, spiritual, sometimes even relational. Let's get real. If you're clinging to old identities, worn-out patterns, or that emotionally unavailable ex who somehow still shows up every time Mercury goes retrograde, it's time to release. Comfort zones are like spiritual quicksand. They lull you into thinking you're safe, but in reality, they keep you from soaring. You can't take the old baggage into the new dimension. That's cosmic law. Detachment isn't about being cold, it's about making space for something sacred. Second, discipline beyond emotion. Now don't roll your eyes, Sagittarius. I know you're a fire sign. You're passionate, spontaneous, allergic to routine. The word discipline probably makes you feel like someone just turned off your Wi-Fi mid-Netflix. But hear me out. Elevation doesn't come from chasing every spark of inspiration. That's burnout waiting to happen. Discipline is the spiritual glue that keeps your purpose intact when the passion fades. And yes, that will happen. Ask any monk, musician, or marathon runner. Discipline is what carries you through the desert between your calling and your arrival. Sometimes the most magical thing you can do is wake up, show up, and do the thing even when your soul would rather be eating mangoes on a beach in Tulum. Consistency is your spiritual weightlifting. It's not sexy. It's not trending. But it's the only thing strong enough to hold the vision you're being called to carry. And finally, faith without a map. Now this one? This is where Sagittarius shines. Kind of. You love the journey. You're the Zodiac seeker, the truth hunter, the wild explorer of the unseen. But here's the plot twist. This time, the map isn't included. The divine doesn't hand out blueprints. No step-by-step Pinterest boards. This journey asks you to move based on something deeper: soul trust. Think Abraham walking away from everything he knew, or Peter stepping out of the boat into stormy waters. These weren't calculated decisions. They were leaps of faith. And no, there wasn't a guarantee waiting on the other side. Just the knowing that obedience brings alignment. Sag, this is your Abraham moment. You're pack the bags, but don't ask where we're going season. You won't have clarity every step of the way, but you will have confirmation when you take the step. So, let me wrap this up with some tough love. Divine elevation isn't a vacation. It's a spiritual boot camp. 1 part surrender, 1 part structure, 1 part wait, where are we going again? It's messy, beautiful, frustrating, and freeing. But here's the beautiful irony. Everything you're releasing was never actually part of your destiny. And everything you're scared of stepping into has been waiting for you to say yes since the beginning of time. Trust the stretch. Obey the nudge. And if all else fails, just remember, Sagittarians were born to blaze trails, not read instructions. You know, after decades of studying astrology, the psyche, and the invisible threads that weave our human experiences into cosmic timing, I can tell you something with confidence. When a Sagittarius starts feeling that itch in their soul, the one that doesn't go away with a road trip or a new philosophy book, it usually means spirit is calling them higher. But here's the catch. That call rarely comes with a lightning bolt or a scroll from the heavens. It usually starts as a quiet discontent. A shift in your appetite. A deep sigh in the middle of something you used to enjoy. And if you've been feeling that lately, buckle up. You're not imagining it. You're being summoned to your next level, and yes, the signal still gets through, even when your Wi-Fi doesn't. Let's walk through the 5 unmistakable signs you're being called higher. First, you're just bored with the surface stuff. What used to satisfy you spiritually, those cute quotes, 5-step listy clees, or generic feel-good affirmations, they're just not hitting anymore. It's like trying to feed a hungry lion with a handful of popcorn. You're craving depth now. Real, soul-rattling wisdom. The kind that doesn't just inspire you, it rewires you. That's no accident. Your spiritual palette is evolving. You're not here to skim the surface. You were born to dive into the ocean of truth. Second, there's this growing urgency inside you. Not anxiety, this isn't the panicky "oh no, I left the stove on" kind of feeling. This is that holy, weighty nudge that says, it's time. Move. You can't quite explain it, but you feel like the universe has lit a fire under your seat. You're suddenly aware that time is sacred. That every delay carries a cost. You feel it in your chest, in your breath, in your decisions. It's not about rushing, it's about responding to a divine alarm clock that's been patiently ringing in the background. Third, nothing is going according to plan anymore. And no, it's not a cosmic vendetta. It's divine rerouting. You carefully laid out your next steps, maybe even made a mood board or two, and suddenly everything's shifting. Your plans? Derailed. Your expectations? Flipped. But here's the deeper truth. It's not sabotage. It's strategy. The universe sees what you can't. It knows where those plans would have led, and it's offering you a better route. One that may not make sense now, but down the road, you'll thank heaven for the detour. Fourth, your appetite for distractions has vanished. TV shows feel hollow. Social media feels like noise. Even conversations that once kept you engaged now seem to echo with emptiness. That's not burnout, it's refinement. Your soul is fasting from fluff because it's preparing for something weightier. You're in a sacred detox. Your attention is being recalibrated. This isn't you losing interest, it's you making room for what's next. You're not being boring. You're becoming intentional. Fifth, you feel isolated. This one's tough. Even for a Sagittarius who usually doesn't mind walking solo. But this kind of solitude feels different. It feels holy. Painful, yes. But also strangely peaceful. And here's what I've learned after years of watching spiritual awakenings unfold. When God wants to speak clearly, He clears the room. He'll silence the crowd, reroute the people, and pull you aside, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Leadership always begins in the wilderness. And the wilderness? It's not empty. It's full of divine whispers meant just for you. So if you're nodding along to all this, congratulations. You're not falling apart. You're being elevated. Your boredom with the shallow, your sense of urgency, your detours, your withdrawal from distractions, and yes, even your loneliness, they're not random symptoms. They're sacred signs. You're being called out of comfort and into purpose. And if there's one sign in the zodiac wild enough, brave enough, and spiritually curious enough to say yes to the unknown, it's you, Sagittarius. Now the only question left is, are you ready to rise? Let's not sugarcoat it, Sagittarius. You weren't made for smallness. And I don't mean that in some motivational meme kind of way, I mean it in a deep, soul contract, written in the stars kind of way. Playing small might feel safe, polite, even humble. But let's call it what it really is: spiritual shrinkage. And for someone like you, with a fire sign spirit and a cosmic compass pointing toward truth, that's a painful kind of betrayal. Here's the blunt truth: if you hide your light, people stay in the dark. And I'm not just talking about random folks on the internet. I'm talking about real people, the ones who are silently praying for the kind of wisdom you've had to earn the hard way. The people who need your story, your courage, your been there, survived that kind of voice. That fire in your belly wasn't meant to warm just you, it was meant to set others free. I know what you're thinking, but what if I'm not ready? Well, welcome to the club. Nobody feels ready before a breakthrough. Not Moses. Not Oprah. Not even your local yoga teacher who's always posting about surrender. Read the fine print of spiritual growth and you'll see a phrase over and over again: delayed obedience is disobedience. Yeah, that one stings a little. But it's true. Every time you put off stepping into your purpose, someone else's healing gets delayed too. No pressure, right? And if you need a reminder from someone a little more official than me, let's go biblical for a section. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden." Translation: stop shrinking. Stop dimming. Stop twisting yourself into knots just to keep others comfortable. Your light isn't a suggestion. It's a requirement. So, SAG, if you've been feeling the nudge, the pull, the cosmic elbow to the ribs, it's not just hype. It's heaven reminding you who you are. You weren't made to blend in with the wallpaper of this world. You were designed to burn bright, speak boldly, and lead with a kind of wild faith that makes people believe in themselves again. And if that means making some people uncomfortable, so be it. Growth always is. Let me tell you something, Sagittarius, and I don't say this lightly. After decades of watching birth charts, life patterns, and karmic cycles unfold, you weren't born to simply exist. You were born to disrupt, uplift, and recalibrate the atmosphere. And not with soft-spoken affirmations and tepid energy, either. I'm talking full-blown, fire arrow energy. The kind that burns illusions and lights up entire rooms with unapologetic truth. That restless ache inside you? The one that flares up every time you witness injustice or hear someone speaking half-truths like their gospel. That's not coincidence. That's your assignment. You didn't pick it, heaven did. You were preserved, not just chosen. There's a difference. Chosen means you were called. Preserved means you were protected from things that should have taken you out, because your voice wasn't allowed to die in silence. You see, the world isn't suffering from a lack of content, it's suffering from a lack of conviction. And guess what? We don't need another influencer reviewing protein shakes. We need a Sagittarius who's spiritually awake, emotionally resilient, and bold enough to speak what others only dare to think. That's you. And yes, I know you've been through some stuff. Some of it still sits heavy on your heart. But here's the twist: your pain wasn't random. It was strategy. The fire that nearly burned you down? It forged your wisdom, your humor, your edge. Like Joseph, betrayed, misunderstood, left behind, you were being positioned, not punished. Everything you've survived, every closed door, every detour, it all conspired to shape a voice that can't be duplicated. One that carries authority, empathy, and the kind of raw truth that breaks chains. So, if you've ever wondered why you feel the weight of the world in your chest, why you can't just let things go like everyone else, it's because you weren't born to float. You were born to shift atmospheres. Not with fear, not with force, but with fire and sacred direction. And let's be honest, no one slings arrows of truth quite like you, Sagittarius. Aim high. Let's have a grown-up cosmic conversation, Sagittarius, because this moment in your life, it's not just about you. I know, that's tough to hear for a sign who loves independence more than most people love their morning coffee. But here's the thing, your breakthrough, your healing, your rising, your wild gallop out of the ashes isn't just personal. It's collective. You see, your story isn't a shiny self-help anecdote. It's a survival map. The stuff you've been through, the heartaches, the spiritual deserts, the nights where you questioned everything and still kept going. That's not just resilience. That's divine strategy. Because out there, somewhere, is someone stuck in a place you barely escaped from, and they need to know it's possible. That it gets better. That the fire doesn't just burn, it builds. So when you rise, and I mean fully rise, not just dip your toes in the pool of potential, you're clearing a path. You're lighting up a dark corner someone else couldn't navigate. This isn't about shining to be seen. This is about shining so others can see their way out. And let's not forget the deeper, quieter part of this equation. Like Jesus in Gethsemane, there comes a moment where surrender becomes the most powerful thing you can do. Not the Instagram kind of surrender with candles and ocean waves playing in the background. I mean the gut-wrenching, okay, God, even if I'm scared, I'll still say yes kind. That's the moment where purpose cracks wide open. Because here's the truth, calling will almost always demand more than comfort ever can offer. Comfort wants you to sit down and stay safe. Calling? It wants you to stand up and start walking toward what scares you but also transforms you. So no, this journey isn't just about healing your own wounds. It's about being the medicine someone else has been praying for. And if that feels too heavy, let me remind you, you're Sagittarius. Born with fire in your bones and truth on your tongue. You didn't come here to play it safe. You came here to rise and bring others with you. Let's get one thing straight, Sagittarius, there is no such thing as the perfect moment. That's a myth. A cosmic illusion. A trick your mind plays to delay your destiny. You've been waiting for the stars to align just right, for the fear to go away, for life to hand you a sign in neon letters. Well, here it is, now is the time. Not next week. Not next moon cycle. Not once I figure everything out and heal completely and organize my spice cabinet. Now. The world doesn't need your perfect, polished, always knows what to say self. What it needs is the real you, the brave, brilliant, sometimes wildly chaotic version of you who still chooses to say yes even when the path isn't fully clear. You weren't born to hide behind a filter or wait for permission. You were born to leap, to speak, to live fully even when your knees are shaking and your to-do list is unfinished. And here's what I want you to remember, you are not forgotten. Heaven still has your name carved into its scroll, flaming arrow and all. In this year of triumph 2025, let the fire fall. Let the favor find you in places you didn't expect. Let healing soak into the deepest wounds you thought would never close. Rise up, Sagittarius. Not later. Not someday. But today. Because this isn't just a little spiritual nudge. This is an activation. A call. A cosmic summons. You're not just being stirred, you're being ignited. It's time to stretch, to grow, to shed the old skins and step into the wild mystery that was always meant to be yours. Say yes to the refining. Say yes to the fire. Say yes to the journey that doesn't come with a map but promises transformation at every turn. And let's be honest, if anyone's going to shoot an arrow so high it breaks through fear, resistance, and generational patterns, it's you. You've always been built for more. So go live boldly. Love fiercely. Laugh a little louder. And stop waiting for life to be safe. You're Sagittarius. Safety was never the point. Freedom was. Truth was. Impact was. And if this message moved something inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and hit that subscribe button to stay connected here on Zodiac Talks Tarot, where we don't just talk stars, we follow them straight to purpose. Because the world isn't just waiting for light. It's waiting for your fire.